Novel title, Hail the King. Chapter 13, The Peace After the Storm. The soldiers went crazy. It was way too surprising. Just like pouring a cup of water into a pot of boiling oil, heat exploded everywhere. Every defender felt a burning sensation inside of them, like a fire wanting to burst open. All the excitement and glory of fighting beside the king came together and formed into one shout. Hail King Alexander! The sounds of the shout traveled far away, and even got the attention of the enemies in their base, located on the other side of the Zuli moat. Fei was shouting along with the soldiers. He was sure that he had impressed all of them. To make his return more epic, he waved his hand to quiet down the crowd. The soldiers quickly shut their mouths. They followed Fei's orders as if Fei was a god. Fei walked towards the center of the defensive wall. Staring at all the soldiers, he raised his trophy, the 3-star warrior Landis sword, and cheered, Hail Shambord! The bloody sword, the invincible hero, the remains of the enemies, the golden light from the sunset, and the godlike king. All of these things stimulated the soldiers even more. They raised their weapon and cheered. Hail Shambord! Hail King Alexander! Hail! While the soldiers were cheering, Fei suddenly turned around and pointed his sword at the enemy's base and yelled, My warriors, cheer with me. Kill your dumbass enemy in the ass. The soldiers all laughed uncontrollably. They quickly realized that the king was not only worth of their respect, they could also relate to him, making them admire him even more. The soldiers rushed to the outer edge of the defensive wall and yelled at the enemy's base, Kill your dumbass enemy in the ass. Bastards. The fear and sadness about the war had suddenly subsided. At this moment. Alexander, how did you get here? A surprised, yet worrisome and concerned voice came from Fei's back. Fei turned around. He saw Angela in a long purple dress. She was holding up the edges of her dress while rushing up the stairs of the defensive wall. The blonde-haired Emma was yelling and chasing behind her. She seemed a little mad. Fei threw away the sword that was still dripping blood, and turned his head around to wipe off the blood on his lips. After he felt that his appearance wouldn't scare the beautiful angel, he turned back and walked towards her. His walk turned into a sprint as he saw that Angela was about to fall from the stairs and he caught her just in time. The smooth sensation from touching her made Fei want to hug his beautiful fiancée really badly. This place is too dangerous. You have to go back. Angela didn't see what had happened on the battlefield. There was sweat on her face, and her cheeks were completely red from running up the stairs. Tears built up in her eyes as she said that to Fei. 20 minutes ago, Angela returned to the palace bedroom with Emma after getting Emma's face treated. They were surprised to find out that Alexander had disappeared, and that there was a fully armored suit chopped into halves within the palace. They were really anxious and worried about Alexander and his whereabouts. Angela blamed herself over and over for leaving Alexander alone in the palace. They searched the entire palace, including the places Alexander loved to go to, but didn't find any clues. As they were getting desperate and about to cry, they heard a ton of soldiers yelling, Hail King Alexander, on the defensive wall. Angela forgot about her own safety, and didn't listen to Emma's strong opposition, as she ran as fast as she could towards the battlefield. Fortunately, the battle had already ended for a while, and she spotted Alexander right away, fully clad in metal armor. Are you injured? Angela saw all the blood on Fei's armor. Fei laughed proudly and pointed at the corpses of the enemies, It's all their blood. Don't look, these guys look disgusting. He quickly blocked Angela's view. He didn't want his pure fiancée to see all the blood and violence. This simple move by Fei had Angela's heart racing. At this moment. Alexander, you are almost 18 years old. Can you stop making trouble for Angela? Do you know how dangerous this place is? You almost made Angela cry. Emma had finally caught up to Angela. Although she also didn't have any idea about what happened, she began accusing Fei as she took a couple deep breaths. The stairs really tired her out. Back when Alexander was still a retard, Angela and Emma had treated him like a little brother, so when Emma got frustrated, she forgot about his status as a king and yelled at him like a big sister. However, Fei didn't get mad at all. He knew that they were just really worried about him, so he decided to tease Emma a little bit. He played dumb, and as if he was wronged, he said, I didn't make any trouble. I am here to kill the enemies. Look, if you don't believe me, I am strong, and I even killed a lot of enemies. Emma became even angrier. Who are you kidding? It was already embarrassing when you were knocked off of the defensive wall by an arrow the last time. Do you want to make more trouble this time? Kill the enemies. It would be great if you didn't mess up the defense for us. Let's go back. If you cause any more trouble, I'll let Angela slap your butt. Slap my butt. Fei's expression turned strange. When the old Alexander caused trouble, did Angela always slap his butt? Faye's thoughts were getting really inappropriate. Okay, let's go back, Alexander. This place is too dangerous, said Angela. She held onto Faye's hand and began to walk in the direction of the king's palace. She thought to herself, we have to leave this bloody place, I hope it won't traumatize poor Alexander. No, Angela. Faye refused the caring intention of this beautiful girl. He fixed Angela's black hair, which had gotten messy from all the sprinting and stair climbing. Lowering his body to Angela's ear, he said, Angela, do you remember? Earlier you told me that I have to be a brave king. Now, I will be here with my soldiers until we fight off the enemies. Although what Faye was saying was very honorable and moving, he was also trying his best to impress this girl. Heroes are what girls dream of, he thought to himself. That's enough. Alexander, you're causing trouble yet again. Emma didn't take Faye's words seriously. Her bright red face was fuming with anger, while her sapphire-like eyes were filled with frustration. Angela, Emma, let Alexander stay. The three-star warrior Lampard walked towards them. He patted Emma on the back to cool her down as he stared at Faye with a perplexed look. Lampard felt he couldn't get a hang of this little king anymore. He still hadn't digested all the shock that Alexander, who he had seen growing up and being laughed at by everyone, gave him today. What? Mr. Lampard, you. Both Angela and Emma didn't expect Lampard to say that, they were very surprised. Both of them knew that aside themselves in the Chambord castle, the only one who truly cared for Alexander was the three-star warrior Lampard, who had protected Alexander from when he was just a little kid. They couldn't believe that Lampard was allowing Alexander, who didn't have any defensive abilities, to stay on the dangerous defensive wall. Angela, Emma, take a look at the way the soldiers are looking at Alexander. Lampard pointed at the soldiers who were busy resting and setting up more defensive barriers. Looking at the elated Faye, he smiled and said, what Alexander said was true. If it wasn't for him who showed up just on time and saved the day, Chambord would already have been conquered. Angela, I have to agree. You were right when you said that Alexander would become the greatest king. All right, I'm a bit tired, I have to rest. He quickly turned around and left. However, no one noticed the thin stake of blood that was flowing out of his mouth.